receiver is in line to have a big bounce back thanks to a new offensive coordinator. Who is a better tight end for redraft in 2017, Hunter Henry or Kyle Rudolph? And who is the day 3 David Johnson lurking in a deep running back class this year? Plus 2016 FFPC Dynasty 750 number 18 champions Travis Collins and Tino Reyes join us to discuss what they got for last year's 103, what they had to give up to acquire Jamison Crowder, and how they were able to have 4 first-round picks the year after being crowned champs. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your Season 6 premiere of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour starts now.
Broadcast live and heard around the world. You are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Thanks a lot, Rob, and greetings. Salutations go out to all of you Bulkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode, the Season 6 premiere of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com right here on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is, of course, the patron saint of fantasy football, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, is Beast Mode officially back? How concerned should Dynasty owners be with Corey Davis? And 750 number 18 champs Travis Collins and Tino Reyes dish on Paul Perkins, Andrew Luck, and much, much more. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have in there if you are listening to us live on blogtalkradio.com/HSFF. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, you can do so at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak. You can post on our Facebook page, facebook.com/HSFF Hour. If you want to chime in and talk with us, give us a call, 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA. You can also email the show at the inbox, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Our producer and mutual friend Rob and our audio engineer Bryce getting those questions to us in our fantasy feedback segment later on in the show. It is the first show of our 6th season on the air. 6 seasons, Dave. This is our 281st episode. Did you ever think this show was going to last this long? Maybe the better way to phrase that question, did you ever think Alex, the prognosticator, was going to allow this show to go on for this long in its current form?
I'm shocked.
I am too, really. I mean, it blows me away every day that, every Friday night.
The towel in.
Or the towel hasn't been thrown at us. We're sick of it. Enough already. Move on.
It's more of a testament to you because you're the one who actually does the show practically every week unless you have some fishing outing.
I still do it. We just might shift the day on it.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to apologize.
Yeah. Which, by the way, draft weekend, we will be doing a show on Wednesday.
Oh, we are?
That week, yeah.
All right, cool.
So, just so you're aware.
We'll be in Chicago.
We'll be in Chicago, yeah.
Even though the draft's in Philadelphia.
That's as far east as we could get.
Exactly.
That's where the car runs out of gas.
So I'm going to apologize. Actually, I did like the intro music. But
Yeah. Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
And then you had some Kanye outro music earlier today, and I have to apologize because I started whining about how I don't like Kanye.
Yeah.
You are kind of aware of that.
I'll interrupt this apology just real quick. You realize this would have been the 4th time we had Kanye West as an intro or outro on the show.
See, I've gotten a little sick of it. I've had enough.
Okay, well that's different than just not liking him.
Well,
I feel bad that you never told me this before.
I don't like him in the first place.
All right.
And I don't like him in the last place. So I'm glad. So you said you changed it to something else.
It is.
That was more palatable to my palate.
I don't know. I guess it would be more palatable to you. It is. It's an album that just came out today. It's a song off that. So we'll
find out because I've never obviously.
We'll be sued for copyright infringement shortly, I'm sure. But it's from Kendrick Lamar's new album, and it's actually we've had him on before as well.
It's just like The Hangover when they leave the car in the Las Vegas Strip. Here's $4.
Yeah.
Enjoy your copyright.
It's all we can afford. You can come after us for more. We have nothing. Before we get into the show tonight, I want to remind everybody that the main event early bird is expiring at the end of next month. Be sure that you get your FFPC main event team squared away before then. Remember, if you do, it's $100 off the first team, $250 off each additional team, and for each team you at least put a deposit down on, you will get one entry into the Pros versus Joes drawing. Are we going to hold that live on the air?
I hope not, God.
I know we did it a couple of years ago.
It's bad radio. No, we are not.
Okay. So we will not. But
we're going to announce it? Is that what
we can announce it on the air.
Sure, we can announce
it. We'll announce it on the air. Yes.
I'll leave the drawings to Scott Atkins on YouTube.
Oh, there you go.
He's a master.
Register for your Planet Hollywood hookup right now at myffpc.com. The email and the blog both have the link on there that you can click through to get your discounted rate. Really good room rate.
It is a really good room rate. It's like $75 and then $179 I think on Friday and Saturday.
Discounted resort fees as well.
Yeah, I mean, and like I actually looked, and normally I always feel like when we do these deals, like we're gonna get screwed. But really, I mean, like it's like $135 I think midweek, and then like $270 or something like that on the weekend. So this actually is a good price.
Yeah, very good price. So check that out. You can get that at myffpc.com. Check out the boards as well as the blog there. Live high-stakes leagues are filling up as well at Planet Hollywood. Check those out. Dynasty startups, we're not that far away from Dynasty startup drafts going on. May 13th, I think they kick off. We also have other startups going off, June 11th, I think, May 27th or some going off as well.
Did I ever tell you the story?
Those leagues are all going off. myffpc.com. Draft Experts League, Satellite Leagues. myffpc.com.
Great.
Go ahead.
Quick story.
Yes.
1 year, I think it was like maybe 3 years ago, it was in the heart of us switching to Big Game Software, this new software company from Archie Sports.
Right.
There was Dynasty startup drafts, and my wife, in her infinite wisdom, booked a trip to Disney World for us. It's like we had all these problems going on, and it was like 95 degrees, because when was that? Mid-May, right? So it's like 100 in Disney World. And I had this backpack and my laptop and a wireless card, a Verizon wireless card. And I sat there like outside of Haunted Mansion for like an hour sweating my balls off or whatever, trying to fix all these problems.
Right.
I'm going to be around this time.
Oh, good.
And all the problems are gone. There's no problems. Everything's great. I'm just that was a tough hour.
Last year I was with my friends at a guys' weekend at a cottage on a lake in northern Wisconsin, and we did the show on a Thursday. Actually, I don't know if you were on that show. It was probably somebody else who did the show that week. I think it was
memorable.
I think it was John Modaf and Tom Zredek who did the show that week. They co-hosted You Were Gone.
Okay.
But Saturday morning, that was when Dynasty Draft started, and I woke up Saturday morning, and my phone is just blowing up. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And it was all these people like mentioning FFPC about, can't wait for Dynasty kicks off in 75 minutes, and it was great. So very good, very exciting that is coming up, and you can be a part of it at myffpc.com. Thanks to Football Guys, Roto World, and Rob for tonight's rundown. Tyler Eifert says his back feels great after his surgery. He says he'll be ready for training camp. He is not sure if he will be back in time for next month in June's OTAs. Eifert has not exactly been the pinnacle of health. Dating back,
healthy tight end in the country.
More than Rob Gronkowski or Jordan Reed?
Yes.
Okay, wow. This is probably,
yes, isn't he?
Let me just finish reading this because I was going to pick your brain on the injury aspect of this. This is why I'm bringing it up. If he is back for training camp, that would be a huge get for the Bengals. He was not able to be back in time for training camp last year following that ankle surgery when he hurt it in the Pro Bowl. Right now, Tyler Eifert being mentioned among the top 4 tight ends, along with Greg Olsen and the aforementioned Jordan Reed, Rob Gronkowski. Returning to OTAs could give him the edge over Olsen for people who are drafting around that time. The Bengals obviously are going to need him to stay on the field. They've had some offensive line losses. They're still haven't replaced Marvin Jones or Mohamed Sanu yet as well, so they will need him in the passing game. Now, the reason I bring this up, Dave, is because you were the poster child for the anti-Julio Jones movement last year. He's always hurt. He's going to get hurt. He's going to let you down when it comes to playoff time. You have any of the similar feelings with
what happened?
You were right about Julio Jones. Do you have any?
He still had a great year, though.
Do you have any of the similar feelings for Tyler? Well, okay. Before let's just talk about Julio Jones for a second. Because he did have a very good year.
He did.
But he was so inconsistent. I mean, incredibly inconsistent.
But it was incredibly good. I mean, let's be honest.
Overall, yes. You'd be great if there were such thing as a football roto league, like a 5x5 football league. He would be perfect for that. But we don't play that in fantasy football.
We don't play that.
So Tyler Eifert, I'm bringing this up because a lot of the stuff I'm reading here is, especially with his injury history, the fact that he's hopeful to be back for training camp does not sound like he is going to be back by May or June. I'm just wondering if you have any of these same feelings about Tyler Eifert, especially in a tight end premium league where a guy like him is so important that you would just stay away from him and go with somebody healthier like Greg Olsen, who's going right around the same spot.
Yeah, I would take Olsen for sure over Tyler Eifert. I mean, it's almost why, right? Why is Eifert even in the same area? It doesn't make any sense. He has potential to be really good, to be as good as Greg Olsen, who doesn't really get hurt. He's got Cam. He's the number one receiving target. Kelvin Benjamin is not really all that great. Funchess has sucked so far. I don't know. I think Olsen. I mean, I would love to have Olsen.
Let's, as long as we have the opportunity, let's play the first Would You Rather of the season 6 campaign.
Would you rather get a massage from a man or surgery from a female doctor?
Would you have sex with Cleveland if it meant you could have sex with Angelina Jolie?
Who would you rather do?
I would.
What would you guys rather be? Who would you rather start a small business with?
Who would you rather have sex with?
Do you want breakfast, or would you rather chew on your own ass as usual?
What?
Let's see how far your Tyler Eifert hate goes here, Dave. Tyler Eifert right now in FFPC stats going at the 4.11. Going at the 4.12, Jimmy Graham. Would you rather have Eifert or Graham?
Graham.
I agree. Would you rather have Tyler Eifert or Delaney Walker?
I'll still take Delaney Walker. He never gets hurt.
I think I would too. Even he's going at the 5.07. Tyler Eifert or Zach Ertz going at the 5.08.
I'll take Eifert. I'm not really an Ertz guy.
I would too, just because you think about all those pass catchers they brought in to Philly.
Yeah, Ertz his targets are, talk about inconsistent targets.
Yeah. How about this one? Eifert or new tight end wunderkind Kyle Rudolph going at the 6.01.
Rudolph's going at the 6.01.
Yeah.
I'll take Rudolph. That's weird.
I mean, for value-wise, I would rather have Rudolph there, but, if they're going to cost the same amount in an auction, I'd rather have Eifert. You know what I mean?
Why is that?
The talent of number one that Eifert possesses, to me, is superior than Rudolph's. When Eifert's been on the field, he's been very, very good. And you can get a guy who is going off the board like between 12 and 17 for tight ends that you can plug in and be all right in that spot. A lot of people, now we brought this up on the show before, are not finding good reasons why Rudolph is all of a sudden going to drop off the table. Because,
can you find any reasons? I can't find
any. It's tough.
Bradford is still the quarterback.
Yep.
Stevie Whitewater, whatever the hell his name is, he's not playing.
Stevie Whitewater? Who's Stevie Whitewater? Oh, Teddy Bridgewater.
Right, whatever. He's not playing at all.
Right.
They're receiving.
Charles Johnson's gone. Laquan Treadwell expected to take a step up. They did.
He's terrible. He'll have 12 receptions instead of 6.
We saw Adam Thielen really carve out a significant role in this passing offense last year, and you all know what Stephon Diggs is capable of as well.
Yeah, Diggs is Diggs is solid, but I mean Rudolph is really the guy they were looking for. 83 receptions for 840 and 7 touchdowns is a lot.
Let's move on here and talk about Demaryius Thomas. He thinks
real quick.
Yes.
What do you think Tyler Eifert's rookie Dynasty? You buying, you selling, and what is he worth to you?
I would definitely be selling, and I would probably sell for like 70, 80 cents on the dollar right now.
So what is that? What are you selling for? What am I offering you for Eifert? Carrington, I actually own Eifert in Carrington.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't trade him in that league because I have Greg Olsen.
Right. So let's say you had Eifert and I'm buying. I'd offer you 206 for him.
Okay. Tight end premium format. I would not do that.
All right.
Okay.
This is not tight end premium.
And you're giving me the 206.
I'm offering the 206.
So, and I give you Eifert.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd do that. I'd probably do that.
All right. So that's about where he's at.
Yeah. I mean, for me. Don't ask me about dynasty
trade. That's kind of like
trade.
a fair price, right?
Yeah. To me.
Andrew Myers said no way.
Andrew Myers says no way.
So what does he need? 201? 112?
103? 104?
206. I mean, this is a deep draft. I think it's because I think it's a deep draft.
And I'm with you on that. Demaryius Thomas thinks that the return of offensive coordinator Mike McCoy could help his yak because the team will call more wide receiver screens that are thrown to Demaryius Thomas. Thomas had that hip problem last year, still got 90 catches, more than 1,000 yards. This is a guy, Dave, that is, let me just check where he's going in drafts, in FFPC drafts right now. I just had it up. He is going at the 308 in drafts right now. To me, that's a good value for a guy who might end up being a top 10 receiver again this year.
Absolutely. Demaryius Thomas is super talented. I love him as a player.
Do you really? I've never really thought of you as much of a Thomas guy.
I sneakily own him in a couple Dynasty leagues.
That is sneaky. Update on that Eifert. Antimima says he would trade, if the 111 was presented to him, he would part with Eifert for that.
111 and 112 is what he said.
In the FFPC.
That makes sense. I mean, and like he mentions the new tight end blood. I mean, this is the most incredibly deep tight end draft possibly ever.
So he, just once again, two-packer crowdsourcing our Carrington trade talks in the chat room, bringing up the Martavis Bryant action.
Oh, yeah, who has Bryant? You?
I do, yeah. I'm holding out.
That's funny. I didn't even know it was two-packer. I said yes, I would trade him for that.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Sports Illustrated. Mike Silver has reported that the Raiders have reached a deal with Marshawn Lynch. And you, of course, Dave, know what that means when it comes to Marshawn Lynch and the I Got 5 on it.
Oh, come on.
Could be a tie game once Lynch comes in. We have to decide what constitutes him coming back. Is it signing the contract? Does he have to step on the practice field? Does he have to suit up week one?
If they sign a contract, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense.
All right. So now there's another report that came in that the Raiders and Marshawn Lynch are actually not close on a deal right now. So maybe this is going to be drawn out, but it seems like a foregone conclusion.
What are they going to trade for? I mean, what do you think, a conditional sixth or something?
Yeah,
like that?
something like that. I mean, you can't if you're Oakland, you can't really bank.
Bryce would say that's fair.
Yeah, you can't really bank on any more than one season from this guy,
right.
can you?
Yeah.
You might not even be able to bank on him for one season.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to throw something in. There's got to be some sort of price.
Could he be fool's gold by the time main event drafts roll around? Is he the type of guy that people are like, look what he's done in the NFL, look at the offensive line he's running behind, he's playing on a Super Bowl contender with a good defense, is he a candidate to be overdrafted? I say yes.
I think he's a candidate to be overdrafted for sure.
I think if I get him on any leagues this year, it'd probably be I got a massive deal on him in Kentucky auction.
Well, we'll see where he ends up.
We will.
Where he ends up in the ADP.
We do have Travis Collins and Tino Reyes, the 750 number 18 Dynasty champs in the FFPC, coming up. Just one last point I want to bring up before we get to them. NFL draft analyst Tony Pauline reports that the Niners are very high on running back Leonard Fournette, and they could use the second overall pick in the NFL draft on him this year. The sources also say that the Niners are ready to give up on Carlos Hyde. Remember, this is a guy who's not played one down of football with the new regime, and they're ready to give up on him, which I think is interesting. He's also struggled to stay healthy. John Lynch didn't outright deny the report. He said that the team really likes Hyde, although he also said, not sure really what Hyde does really well on the field matches up with the type of offense they're trying to instill.
By the way, that's saying a lot.
That is the fact that, I mean, if you like Carlos Hyde, you should be unequivocally denying that statement to the Hills, and he didn't. So to me, that suggests that Hyde is either not long for San Francisco or set for a reduced role in that offense. Either way, can't be too excited about him either for redraft or for Dynasty right now, Dave.
Yeah, I would agree. I tweeted that I'd be selling Hyde.
Yes, I know. You had mentioned me in that.
You're one of those big fans.
But remember, I traded him last year for Latavius Murray, and another one of my great Carrington trades.
You know what? It's funny, though, or not funny, but do you ever have those Dynasty trades where you trade someone and then you get somebody else back, and what you get back sucks, but then the guy you trade away totally sucks also, and you're like, well, this sucks because either way I was screwed.
Right. I guess for me,
I have a lot of that.
I only acquire premium players, which means I'm only trading away premium players.
You're so full of crap.
Yeah, so I guess I'm only in the situation of when I trade a guy, he always does awesome, but the guy I get back is always even awesomer.
Awesomer. I love it.
Yep.
Speaking of awesomer, what our new guest?
Yeah, come for the fantasy football. Stay for the grammar on this show. This is Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Tino Reyes and Travis Collins are coming up right after the break. This is the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Talking Dynasty Fantasy Football once again this week on the HSFF Hour. Eric Balkman and St. Dizzle bringing you the fantasy knowledge this week, as we're less than 2 weeks from the draft. Yeah, we're less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. It's insane.
I've already bought the liquor for the Chicago trip.
Well, I can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Me, you, and two-packer on the way down to Chicago, hopefully hooking up with some FFPC people once we get down there. Let's bring in tonight's guests. right now. They've been fraternity brothers and good friends for nearly 15 years. They've always loved football, and they figured it would be a great way to stay in touch, given how far they've moved away from each other since their collegiate graduation. In terms of philosophy, they say they run a Dynasty hybrid strategy that is a merger of advanced scouting and data analysis, given Travis's background as a former high school player from Florida and his deep knowledge of the college game, coupled with a hyperactive, opportunistic trading strategy similarly employed in the stock markets, given Tino's background as a former banker and current stock trader. Please welcome the 2016 FFPC 750 number 18 Dynasty champs, Travis Collins and Tino Reyes. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thanks, guys. We're really excited to be on.
Yeah, exactly.
We're excited to have you. This is,
you really built them up quite a bit there.
This is always, the time of year we get all these Dynasty champs on, and Dynasty Fantasy Football, obviously, Dave, as we've said on the show many times, it is the best brand of fantasy football.
It's the chess of fantasy football.
We get to talk trades. We get to talk redraft startups, not redraft, startups, rookie drafts. We get to talk all this, and we get to pick the brains of some guys who did something pretty unique this past year in the FFPC. So we're going to get to that. But tell us, guys, right now, Tino, we already know that you are a stock trader right now. But Travis, go ahead and tell us what you're doing when you're not playing fantasy football.
I consider myself a serial entrepreneur, and I say serial because nothing I've worked on has worked out the way that I wanted it to. But, for the most part, I'm just a 9-to-5 guy. I work for an insurance company, and I'm in sales with them and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what I do in my, non-free time.
Yeah, he's always looking for the next good gig.
Yeah.
They're like in social network where they're like, what do you do? I'm an entrepreneur. And she's like, oh, you're unemployed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's whatever. That's the goal of every entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is to be unemployed.
And that, it is.
You know what I mean?
I think so.
Well, if we ever do the FFPC Shark Tank, Travis Collins definitely on the board.
So do you have any new good ideas, Travis, that we can steal from you?
Any one thing that's new that you can steal for me? I wouldn't say right now. I know I live in South Florida, so travel is a big thing. Probably something in the travel industry, probably a shuttle company, maybe a parking garage, something like that. Start off small.
South Florida, man. Oh, weather's got to be nice. It's getting a little hot down there, though, right?
It's always hot. It's been like 90 degrees, and it's, April. I mean, we didn't even have a winter. Our winter is like 50 degrees. We had nothing. So, yeah, it's hot.
I will say, just as far as like ideas I've thought of over the past 2 or 3 months, something travel related. Yeah, I always thought like when you get on an airplane, what would be awesome is if they would have like on the seat in front of you, if they'd have like some sort of table that would come down off that seat where you could set like a drink or food or like laptop on there. I think like that would go over really well.
They have that already, Balky.
Damn it, foiled again. Just so depressing.
I think some sort of self-defense mechanism. I think on a plane.
Yeah, we might need that too as well.
All right, Travis. Here we go. Now, I'm going to ask you a real question now. Congrats on the 750 number 18 title. Utilizing the tight end properly is, obviously a key to success. You guys had a pair of really good ones last year. Hunter Henry, who was actually really good as a rookie, and Kyle Rudolph, who stayed healthy for once. Between the two, which one of those two has the better 2017 season in front of them?
That's actually kind of hard. I've been thinking about that for a little bit, which one would be better and what our strategy is for the tight end. I like to kind of just lump them in with wide receivers and just consider everybody a pass catcher. But I think for fantasy, Hunter Henry probably has a better chance considering the age of Gates. But at the same time, I think in real world, Kyle Rudolph is more important to his team because of his ability to block and receive. So he's likely going to probably outsnap Henry by probably twice as much. And so he'll be on the field, and that'll give you opportunity. But if I were going to bet in terms of ability to get yards, touchdowns, and that sort of thing, I imagine Henry's going to have a role carved out for him specifically in that way.
So more fantasy points Rudolph this year. Is that what you're kind of hinting at?
No, I say more playing time Rudolph, but more of a fantasy role for Henry because I imagine it's going to be specifically built upon what he did last year. And as you mentioned, he was good as a rookie. And I just, think that they're going to continue to move him forward, whereas Rudolph, I'm not sure what they're doing with their offensive line in Minnesota, and he's probably going to have to block more. So even though he's on the field, he probably won't be running routes.
Remember, the other thing, too, is Antonio Gates is on the field quite a bit last year because they were trying to get him that tight end touchdown record, and San Diego's already said that they're not going to be doing that as much this year. And
he's still on the team, though, right?
Yes, he is. And you would expect Hunter Henry to take a step forward from his freshman to sophomore year in the NFL. And the other thing we didn't bring up with Kyle Rudolph, Dave.
So,
what?
Almost double the snaps. Rudolph's going to do not quite as well.
Well, here's the thing.
He'll be twice as efficient as Rudolph.
Well, now here's the thing that we didn't talk about with Kyle Rudolph in our previous discussion before the break. Versatility is so important in the NFL. Everybody wants somebody. You don't want a running back on the field that is a pounder that can't catch because the defense knows what you're probably going to do on that play. Kyle Rudolph is such a good blocker, and they need him on that line. He's also such a good receiver. He's going to be out there a ton because he can do everything and do it well for Minnesota. That's another thing that is going to help out Kyle Rudolph this year. I might be coming around on Rudolph live on the air today.
All right.
There we go. Tino, let's talk about a big move that you guys made last year. Now, you had the 101 pick last year. You take Ezekiel Elliott first overall. No surprise there as far as what most people were doing with that pick last year. You also had the 103 in that same draft. You swapped it straight up for Andrew Luck. So tell us a little bit about the thought process that you had, and after getting Elliott, trading that rookie pick for Andrew Luck.
Yeah, definitely. So, coming off that last season, we were one of the bottom teams. And so our whole vision for the next season was, trying to rebuild and, nabbing certain players at, QB1, running back 1, and pass catcher 1. And so, with running back 1, we knew we were going to get Elliott at 1.1, so we already had that, all squared away. And then in terms of 1.3, we weren't really sure what to do. So, for every trade that we do, it all begins with perceived value of the options in front of us. And, the options we had were, trading for a player, such as Andrew Luck, or taking somebody at 1.3. And, at 1.3, we really thought that it was either going to be, Josh Doxson or Corey Coleman who would be taken. Michael Thomas was really not on our radar at that point. We all know that, he obviously became the best receiver from last year. But so, we were targeting those players at 1.3. And at the time, we were really over-levered in terms of young wide receivers. We had Brashad Perriman, Kevin White, Devontae Parker, among others. So we really didn't feel that it made sense to add another rookie receiver at that point. And then so contrast that to the perceived value of Andrew Luck. He was coming off of, a poor season. He missed 8 games or 9 games, I believe. And just, they really wasn't able to recreate the magic of, his season before where he was QB1 in 2015. So, we thought it was a great opportunity to, get a player at lower value in exchange for a player that we wouldn't really, need to take on. And at the same point also, we had Dante Moncrief on our roster, so it gave us an opportunity to do the stack, QB wide receiver stack, which we're always looking to do if we get an opportunity to do that. And then, from another standpoint, we did have Matthew Stafford and Marcus Mariota on our roster, and, we really felt that if we were able to trade up for Andrew Luck, it would give us a few more years of QB1 value over Matt Stafford, as well as being able to, move Stafford, which we were able to do for a future first rounder. So, it all worked out really good.
That's
overall.
Crazy. So you guys got a future first for Stafford?
Yes. No, it was part of a package, but I don't remember exactly. Okay. Travis, do you remember? It was 1.12 and then 3.3. and Matthew Stafford for 2018 first rounder, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. We end up just taking on or essentially giving people picks to get to the picks that we want in the next season. So we ended up flipping Matthew Stafford, what would eventually become a first-round pick in 2018.
Oh, nice.
That works out.
That's how the geniuses do it, Dave. This is why we have him on. This is good stuff.
Building, Stafford was kind of hyped up a little bit. We were part of the hype train.
Were we really?
He did pretty well. I mean, he had a good season.
I don't remember us hyping up too many quarterbacks.
Not hyping him up. I mean, we drafted him in a number of spots.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's true. I did. Yeah, okay. Good point.
Anyway.
Yes. Moving on. Yeah.
Tino, what's going on, buddy? Balky was saying that you were surprised that you were coming on the show because you email me all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I thought by now you might have been sick of me, so I didn't know if you wanted to keep on, entertaining conversations with me. But, I'm glad that everything's all cool.
You haven't emailed since January, so don't. I've forgiven you. It's okay.
All right. Well, as long as you don't get the emails to Chris as well, then yeah, I think January was the last one.
Yeah, Chris doesn't forward them all.
Don't nobody get those emails but Chris.
Email as much as you want, man. Tino, you guys also made a deal in the middle of last season to acquire Jamison Crowder in exchange for your second-round pick and Clive Walford. What prompted you to make that swap?
Yeah, again, I think Travis and I, almost daily, we just engage in conversations about player values. We're always trying to understand when are players at their highest value or close to that peak value, because those are the optimal times to move them. And so with Walford, he was still in that 2-year window where he was still kind of a rookie. Obviously it wasn't his rookie year anymore, but tight ends get an extra year of development. That people bake into their value. And so we thought he was a player that was still relatively high in terms of prospects. Coming out of Oakland with that passing attack, but with the FFPC bonus, that people are always going to attribute a premium to tight ends, as you alluded to earlier. So we really thought this was our window was closing in terms of being able to move it. And then from the other side, one of the trading partners that we were looking at, was he was stacked at wide receiver. I don't think Jamison Crowder was even on his, starting roster. I mean, he had Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, Jarvis Landry, and Sterling Shepard on his roster at the time, and his tight end spot was pretty weak. So, it was the perfect opportunity for us to kind of sell high on Walford before his value kind of depreciated and pick up a player, in Crowder who we thought, wasn't being effectively used by his owner. And I think Travis can maybe go into, some of the statistical things that we really enjoyed about Crowder's background, if you want to, Travis.
Yeah, so
go ahead, Travis.
Crowder showed us that he had the ability to take on a heavy load since his college days. Since he was 19 his sophomore year at Duke, he was a 1,000-yard receiver. And he's the single-season ACC receptions leader, and he has the career reception yardage. So we knew that he could, thrive giving a lot of value. Now, he's not going to give you necessarily the touchdowns. He didn't have 10 or so in that time frame, but him operating out in the slot was perfect, and we were just, adding him as a, like I said, a pass catcher to supplement what we didn't have and what we weren't getting from Walford. And we believe that also the fact that the top two wide receivers for Washington were going to be free agents, and it made it a perfect opportunity to take him at the time that he was having a breakout year, once again showing that he's going to thrive at a young age and probably move into the next season with a open slate. And, I mean, you can see what they did in the offseason by, bringing in what's the kid from Cleveland, and they're trying to hope Doxson can do something. But the reality in my mind is that Crowder is probably the best, most apt receiver that they have on their roster.
That's a good point, Balky. I don't know if you remember this, but it was I don't know how many years ago, but we were talking about Crowder because he wasn't really that hyped up, and I was saying
it couldn't have been that many years ago.
Well, it wasn't, but I mean it was. I was just saying that it's when I watched Crowder play, he'd get targeted all the time.
Yeah.
He was always making plays, and it's okay, his 40 time's not that great, but it's dude, this guy just seems like a baller. He always is making plays.
Yeah, and Duke was really good. When Crowder was there too, he wasn't doing this on a bad team that was just playing catch up, trying to lose 56-35.
I don't remember that.
They won 10 or 11 games. He was the reason that they won a lot of those games. So,
did they really?
Oh yeah. I mean, they had a really good. I think they won a bowl game that year.
Speaking of colleges, I have a question for you two guys. What college did you guys go to together, and what frat were you in?
Oh yeah, that's actually a good question.
Oh, thanks.
We went to Brown University, and we're members of Phi Kappa Psi fraternity.
You went to Brown? Oh my goodness. So you guys are smart. Yeah. These guys are smart, Balky.
Listen, everybody comes on the show is way smart. They're way smarter than us.
That's in the Ivy League, Balky.
I'm resigned myself.
It's in Providence, Rhode Island.
There you go.
I've looked at the Alumni Factor magazine, all these. You know, they accept like 8% of people nowadays. You know that.
Well, we got 2 of the 8% on the show right now tonight. It's very exciting. Listen, hey, Travis Collins and Tino Reyes joining us, the 750 number 18 Dynasty champs in the FFPC last year. Dave, you would know this better than me.
What?
But I would venture to guess that of all the Dynasty champs that the FFPC crowned last year, none of them have 4 first-round picks in 2017 for the rookie draft, except for Travis Collins and Tino Reyes here.
How do we get 11 people to renew in your league? That's what I'm actually
That's pretty crazy. You guys win the league, you get 4 first-round picks. Travis, you already kind of alluded to how you were doing this, where you're trading, that year's picks for next year's picks, to get the picks that you want, and that's been a big reason why you've been able to acquire 3 of them in addition to your own this season. But the majority of them in the back half of the first round. Can you give us an idea of some of the guys that you and Tino have talked about that you're looking at in that area right now?
Like Tino said, we kind of talk every day about players and value and things like that, so I could probably rattle off every single name of a possible offensive draft pick that's available. I won't do that. Because Tino, he's probably more informed of what the dynasty rankings are and everything like that. I'm actually waiting right now to see how the NFL draft goes, to see where my rankings are wrong and where they might be correct, and then also I have to assess the situation to see how teams operate and how they anticipate using them. But today we were talking about some of the guys that we pick at the end, and right now we kind of like this year's running backs class, and we like this year's tight ends class. The receivers class isn't bad, and there's opportunities that we would likely take maybe somebody like John Ross if we could get him in the later half of the first round. But it probably would end up with us taking another tight end, maybe Ingram or Njoku, maybe somebody like Kamar as a running back, but I'm not really too sure if I want to select a running back that late. We might see if it's possible that we can trade out of this draft into the next one.
It seems to be working out for you so far, so that's certainly a viable option, especially when you have that many picks to play around with. Maybe use a few, trade a few. It's how you sustain. No, I'm sorry, Dave. Yeah, this is you. Sorry. Hi, wait a minute. Where are we? Oh, we're doing a podcast. So sorry, go ahead, Dave.
We're going to ask about these Cincinnati running backs again.
Do you not want to talk about the Bengals?
Travis, tell me what do you think about Taiwan Taylor, actually?
All right, let's talk about Taiwan. It's Taiwan. Is it not Taiwan?
It looks like Taiwan to me, Balky. I'm going to call him whatever I want.
That is an incredibly racist comment.
That's not racist.
All right, let's talk about Taiwan Taylor, Travis. We've talked the Bengals out
Travis
on this show.
and Tino, I don't think they're white guys either. But you're offending the guests, man.
All right, let's move on. Taiwan Taylor, Travis. Let's talk about him.
Actually, Tino and I were kind of briefly talking about Taylor today, in relation to some, lower ranked wide receivers. We were saying that it's possible that Taylor might be one of the most undervalued players considering the year that he's coming off of, and the fact that he had a really excellent game against Alabama, who, obviously is going to have a lot of first-round picks on their defense and is probably the closest to NFL quality in terms of their scheme and what it is that they try to do to limit players. And I think that if you had the chance to get him, it would probably be cool. But then again, like I said, when it comes to the draft, you have to see where the player is going to go and what he's going to do, because he might not get the opportunity that you suspect. So, for example, I think his best position is probably slot. If he goes to a team with another slot receiver that's already entrenched, then you could probably kiss his prospects goodbye.
The other thing to keep in mind about Taylor, too.
So it's Taiwan?
Yeah, Taiwan.
I'm just trying to get it right.
All right, Taiwan.
All right, thanks. Go ahead.
All right. The other thing to keep in mind about Taylor is, too, you mentioned, Travis, his great game against Alabama. You remember a team, that same Alabama defense shut down Juju Smith-Schuster early in the season.
Exactly.
And Smith-Schuster is a guy who was mentioned originally, as high as like a first-round pick. Now he's probably going to be going in the second or third. But, I mean, Taylor was a guy who was able to do it against that Alabama defense, and certainly a guy. Dave, I think you've been talking him up in this whole pre-draft process. I feel like Taiwan Taylor. I feel like this is not the first conversation we've had about him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you
he
allow
might
me
be
to
one of your
interrupt
boys.
just for a second,
Cool.
I don't think that's a good comparison because Taylor and Schuster are totally different receivers. Schuster's going to win with his physicality, and Taylor's a little bit more savvy than he is. And that's where Schuster comes through with his inconsistency that he had this year because he's not always refined in what he is that he does. I think that Schuster probably as an athlete has a higher ceiling than Taylor does, but as a actual football player, Taylor is more complete as he is right now.
Yeah, and Schuster, too, had Sam Darnold throwing to him for the second half of the year. And, of course, that's sort of – Schuster actually – he had that slow start, but he ended up playing very well the majority of down the stretch.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let the NFL decide for me. If he sneaks into the third round, I'm interested. If he's fourth or later, I'm going to pass.
What if he goes to the first pick of the fourth round?
Fine. Fine. The third round
Once
plus
again,
the first pick of the fourth.
Bending on his own rules.
See, Balky, I will bet on the rule. This is an off-the-show discussion.
The 750.
Balky thought the United guy
all right,
was fine. We're not extricated from the plane. You're the worst, Balky.
First of all, don't twist my words. Never said that. I'm not going to get in no United discussion tonight. The 750 number 18 Dynasty champs, Travis Collins, Tino Reyes, joining us live on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour tonight. We're going to talk to them about much more non-airline related fantasy football material. Corey Davis is up next. We're going to talk to them right after this. So this is the HSFF Hour on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour rolls on here on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. I, of course, am Eric Falkman, a slightly above average host. And, of course, I'm joined by the patron saint of fantasy football, Dave Gerzak. Joined by Travis Collins and Tino Reyes tonight, the 750 number 18 FFPC Dynasty champs from last year, picking their brain on not only veterans but some rookies as well. And one of the rookies we want to talk about, Travis, is Corey Davis, a guy from Western Michigan who, again, went on against some lesser competition in college for the majority of his career to no fault of his own. That's just who Western Michigan played. How concerned are you that he could bust in the pros, given that this injury that he's had has not only prevented him from working out at the combine, but his pro day as well, and really all we have to go on, the majority of his film, is against, other MAC teams and other teams that maybe have less than stellar Division I defenses. How concerned are you about Corey Davis, man?
First and foremost, I don't really worry about injuries because I'm not, a doctor. I'm not there. I'm not going to do any evaluation. Like I said, I'll wait for the draft, and then the NFL will tell me how bad the injury is, depending on where they draft him. So if he stays in the first round, I imagine that the concerns are alleviated, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. What I would worry about about him, though, is that in 9 games against Power 5 teams, mostly against the Big Ten, he had 52 receptions, 701 yards, and 5 touchdowns, which is lower than any season he posted overall. And I think that limits probably his ceiling in the sense that people believe that he's a surefire wide receiver 1 capable player. Some people even have him ranked above Mike Williams, who I believe is a bigger, stronger athlete. He might not be as fast, but I worry and have concerns about people going wide receiver 1 hunting simply because I think that the 2013 draft skewed everybody's idea of how easy it is to hit on wide receivers, and that's just not true. So if he goes to an opportunity, what I would probably prefer is that he maybe goes to a team that has a veteran wide receiver that helps him get his conditioning and his strength and things up that he needs. I mean, he's an explosive runner in the open field. He definitely shows that. His yardage totals are off the charts. I mean, if you watch any games with Western Michigan, he's great. His refinement in his route running could probably be better, but his coach is, he was coached very well as a wide receiver prospect coming out. He's almost as complete as you would like as a player, but like I said, when he faced the top level competition, more often than not, he was not able to have those great, really big, explosive games that you would count on and that you would expect for a player that is supposed to have wide receiver 1 potential. And so I would say what you want is to have a wide receiver floor 2 floor. I think he has that. But is he going to be a surefire number 1? I don't know. Would you be disappointed if he were Emmanuel Sanders? I think going in, most people probably would say, yeah, I don't want Emmanuel Sanders, but Emmanuel Sanders is a pretty good player. If you had him on your team, you would likely start him.
Hey, definitely, and the thing is, the way you have to frame it is like Corey Davis is probably going to be going in like the top 3 picks of a rookie draft. So it's like, do you want, if he ends up being Emmanuel Sanders, would you be happy with using your 103 pick and getting Emmanuel Sanders? Which
exactly.
I mean, he's had some pretty good seasons, but at the same time, he's not that world beater that we've seen go at the 103, the 102 picks in previous rookie drafts. So I think you make an excellent point there.
All right, Tino. Let's talk about Cooper Kupp. What do you think about his slow 40 time? It's not that great. However, he has incredible numbers. Do you think his game transcends the measurables?
In terms of 40 times and athletic measurables for wide receivers, I don't pay too much credence to those. As much as other things, just such as statistics. I think that the list of players who are able to, perform at wide receiver having slow 40 times, they're out there, such as, Anquan Bolden, Jerry Rice wasn't the fastest guy. Antonio Brown didn't have a fast time at the combine. So I don't think that the 40 time is as important relative to, say, running backs, where I definitely think, having that top end speed definitely is something that you'd want to see in potential bell cows. What's more concerning to me from a dynasty perspective, I think, would be his age. He's already older than, Mike Evans and Brandon Cooks, who are already entering their 4th year. And he's also older than Amari Cooper, who's entering his 3rd year. And, as Travis alluded to in the previous question, I think people have skewed their views on wide receivers entering as rookies and thinking that you can just start playing as a starter on day one. More often than not, that there's still that 1 to 2 year development window. So you're already having, 4 years or 3 years already cut off from his career at the beginning, and then adding another 2 years to develop. You're looking at him entering his prime fantasy starting range at around age 26, 27. So that truncated value is something I'd definitely be concerned about more than his 40 time.
All right, guys, quick trivia question. Speaking of old guys coming into the league as rookies, who was drafted with the 22nd overall pick in the 2012 NFL draft by the Cleveland Browns? He was a quarterback, and he was age 31 at the time.
What, drafted? Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's
a quarterback.
Yeah, Brandon Weeden, congratulations.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
He's not doing so great right now.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a quarterback in comparison to a
Brown
receiver.
education, Buck. These Brown guys, they got it dialed in, baby.
Brandon Weeden went to Brown. I'm like, no,
he didn't go to Brown.
No.
He went to Oklahoma State. Any more I can get into that school.
Yeah, that's... Wait, what's Danny Mueller is OU. He's not Oklahoma. He hates Oklahoma State. I just don't want to.
He lives in Oklahoma.
I don't know, but he's a fan of one of them. I think he's. In fact, I know he's a big Sooners fan. He's
Oklahoma State's great, Danny.
Well, I don't. I mean, no, he doesn't.
He's like our best cousin.
We will rip on Oklahoma State because he does not like OSU. Okay, guys, let's get to a couple emails here from listeners that had written in. First one is from, and Tino, I'll pitch this one to you first. This is from Darren in Dayton, Ohio. He writes, "Hey guys, congrats on that FFPC title. If you were dead set on moving Paul Perkins right now in Dynasty, what is the lowest rookie draft pick you'd accept for him in a trade?"
I
that
like
is
this question.
Darren in Dayton, Ohio. Paul Perkins, now the interesting thing is he is the quote-unquote starter right now, but the Giants more than likely will be drafting somebody high or signing somebody to maybe not even take away the starter position from him, but take significant touches in that backfield away from Perkins. So you look at Paul Perkins right now, you guys had already talked about selling guys at their highest value. Is this Perkins' highest value right now? And what would you sell him for if you were sure he was not going to be the starter come week 1?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is his highest value. I mean, if I personally, had him at this point, I'd probably hold on him for now and see if he could, perform or win out the position outright next year. I think if you wanted to sell him, the best point was maybe immediately after the end of the season when he kind of established himself as the guy in that committee. So I think, that window's kind of passed. In terms of what I would sell him for, do you mean, what rookie pick would be the lowest pick that I would take back for him? Is that what the question is?
Yes.
Yeah, it'd probably be somewhere around, maybe late 2nd round, early 3rd round pick. I mean, in the middle of the 2nd round, there's still guys that, I'd like to target. I mean, I'm not sure what the price is, correctly, but, some of the tight ends that we like, are still available in the second half or the first half of that second round. So I'd still probably target them before thinking about a running back like Paul Perkins. I definitely think there's more talent available in the first 18 to 20 picks that you could get for maybe a wild card in terms of someone that you could land in a favorable position and maybe be better and not in a committee.
So bad news for Darren in Dayton, Ohio. You missed the opportunity to get the most for him. Good news is there's still time that you can get.
I think that other people would pay more.
Well, you got to get that person to pay more, though.
I think.
Like what?
I would even.
What do you guys see in terms of price?
I would probably. I don't even like Perkins.
Right.
I probably wouldn't pay anything for him because I wouldn't want to acquire him. But if I had him, I would sell him for. I would probably be demanding more in the earlier second.
Well, you know what you would do as a dynasty owner is you would float out, if you owned Perkins, you would float him out to every team in the league who had like an early to mid second round pick, and then the first guy to accept it.
Yeah, I would say either he's available or I would make Perkins offers every pick from
Right.
112 to 206, and anyone who takes it, good for me.
I am with you on that. That is what I would do as well. And if I had to settle for late second, I probably would do that, no problem. Hey, Travis, let's pitch this one to you. This is Tom in Westbury, New York. What are your thoughts on Allen Hurns this season? Was his 2016 more true to life, or will this season be closer to his big 2015 campaign? Good luck to you both in 2017, defending the belt. Thank you for the email, Tom in Westbury, New York. So, Travis, we look at Hurns, was not so good last year. The year before was great. He was fantastic. Yeah. Which is closer to the real Hurns that we're going to see this year?
I would ask the person that sent in the email to provide some context, or if they ever watched any Jaguars games and saw how terrible Blake Bortles was. And then really would ask about a guy that's probably going to always be a wide receiver too. I mean, you have to consider the fact that, yes, Allen Hurns, got himself a big contract and everything like that. But I'm from South Florida. I'm very familiar with Allen Hurns. I saw him at the University of Miami practically every single weekend. He's an inconsistent wide receiver. He's going to have good quarterback play in order for him to thrive. He's not going to overcome. You can't consider the fact that he's in a duo with Allen Robinson and think it's going to rub off. Some people just don't have the capability. He was I don't even remember when he was drafted, but I think he might have been a free agent. So, is his year next year going to be like 2015 or 2016? I think that's kind of irrelevant. It's probably going to be something in between or one or the other. I would say what you have to do is get realistic about the player that you have. You have a wide receiver too. He's going to probably either give you a consistent number somewhere around 10 points a week, or he's going to either be a boom or bust. That's what you got to deal with. If you don't want it, find a better player.
There you go.
Find a better player, indeed.
So all we can say is that the Jaguars GM should be fired, and Hurns' agent that got him the $40 million contract should get a raise.
That was massive. That was a great deal for Hurns.
Wow.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I wonder if that's it. Who's the arrogant guy from Miami? That Drew Rosenhaus, right?
Yeah. Is he from Miami?
Yeah. I wonder if Rosenhaus.
Drew Rosenhaus went to the University of Miami.
I wonder if
there you go.
Rosenhaus is his agent.
Yeah, it very well could be.
I'd be pimping that out. I'd be first page on the website. Allen Hurns, 5 years, $40 million. Boom, and he sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, last question, fellas. Give us a rookie that you think will be a dynasty bust, and another rookie that will end up having big value as a second or third round dynasty rookie draft pick. Travis, we're going to be easy on you. You go first, and then Tino cannot match you. So, Travis, this isn't like Jeopardy where you're trying to get to the final answer.
We'll do the Family Feud buzzer, like if they say the same player.
That's pretty funny, actually. Yeah. We should do some sort of fantasy Family Feud.
Yeah,
Travis, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, we're going to keep babbling otherwise.
All right, one player that I have concerns with is Curtis Samuel, because I don't like quote-unquote touches players. Until Curtis Samuel finds a traditional position that he can play, it doesn't matter what it is. He's not going to find consistent playing time on the field, and that's a big concern to me. Curtis Samuel has shown that he does have a certain level of athletic ability that I believe he can be useful, but he does have some size concerns. So if he's going to play running back, then he's probably going to only be a change of pace player. that's going to limit some of the opportunity that he has. And if he's a wide receiver, his development has been diminished because he hasn't been there full time, so he's got to learn how to run routes correctly and all kinds of things. Personally, I'm trying to avoid Curtis Samuel in all fantasy. I don't like players like that. People can point to guys like Tyreek Hill and the impact that he had, but most people aren't 60-meter champions and have acceleration like a cheetah. So you can't say that that's the same thing. A player that I do like is Chris Godwin from Penn State. I thought that he had very solid production for the last 2 seasons. I mean, he was 1,000 yards with Christian Hackenberg, and frankly, I think Christian Hackenberg is absolutely trash. He's aggressive, and he's a willing blocker. He has pretty good route running ability already, so he shouldn't, have too much difficulty in trying to get open and different things like that. And I personally believe that considering where he is probably going to go, which is likely the second day of the NFL draft, I think that he could probably outplay that position. So he's somebody that, I would probably consider having on my team as, a person that has wide receiver 2 potential, and maybe could have a couple wide receiver 1 seasons over the course of his career. And I think that would be a solid value for him.
Tino, Curtis Samuel, and Chris Godwin are off the board. Give us a bust and a sleeper, man.
I guess from a bust, I wouldn't say that he's going to be an NFL bust, but I'm just not sold on Christian McCaffrey as a top 5 rookie pick for fantasy purposes. First, if he is able to play special teams, that doesn't really always translate into equal fantasy points. From just a pure running back perspective. And also, I just don't think. I think Jamal Charles is the exception to the rule in terms of being able to play 25 plus touches at that size. For every Jamal Charles that I can, there's the Gio Bernards, your Reggie Bushes, and your Darren Sproles. So I think just that ability, that chance of him potentially just being a complementary player in an RBBC, or with pure reception upside. I mean, that's solid for an RB2, but I'm not really looking for an RB2 with a top 5 pick in rookie drafts. I'd probably lean towards one of the tight ends or one of the more other lower running backs who could potentially be a bell cow. So that's why I think McCaffrey might not pay off the value that people are paying for it currently.
Nice.
In terms
and
of,
so you're a value guy.
A value guy. Well, I hate to bring it up. Travis didn't bring it up, but you guys mentioned Tywan Taylor, but he's actually who I thought that is good value. Contrast to someone like Kupp, who's going in the early second round, versus Taylor, who's going late second round, maybe early third round. I think he's just getting overlooked due to maybe just subpar combine numbers. I think his ability to play in the slot is going to definitely pay fantasy dividends if he lands in the right spot and he can tighten up his route running. And also from a production standpoint, I think he's the only player in college football history to have over 250 receptions with a 17-yard reception clip. So, even if he just plays in the slot, he does have that ability to, run some go routes as well. So, I think he's definitely at his price a good value.
Well, 2 great values on the show tonight, Travis Collins, Tino Reyes. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. The 750, number 18 FFPC Dynasty Champs. Boy, a lot to unpack, a lot to digest. You guys were great. I learned a lot. Of course, Dave learned even more. And I want to tell you guys how much we appreciate you guys coming on. Good luck with those 4 first-round picks and repeating. You guys get a great shot to do it this year. So best of luck to you, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate being on with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. It was a blast.
Thanks.
Travis Collins, Tino Reyes.
That was great.
The team name is You Lose Monica's. Was their team name this past year. So 750, number 18 champs.
Why did you say it after the what?
The You Lose Monica's? Yeah. I don't know. I just thought of it now.
So.
Wow. I just, we get a lot of great guests on. There was a lot of good stuff, a lot of good knowledge. Are you surprised at the McCaffrey pick as a potential bust?
No, I know there's people who don't like McCaffrey. I'm more on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. I get it. It
made a lot of good points of
reason why.
maybe all he ever is part of a committee. And honestly, Reggie Bush, Gio Bernard, Darren Sproles, the guys he brought up that they could, they all still were useful at certain points.
Yeah, I mean, and if you take players, if you take like a Danny Woodhead, who has always been a complimentary player,
right.
He's been an RB1 as a complimentary player.
Wasn't he the number 2 running back
yes,
1 year?
He's been
2 years ago.
So, if you get a running back, and Reggie Bush has been like an RB1 as well.
Right. Yeah.
If you get a running back who's catching 80 passes, it's almost implausible not to get RB1 numbers.
It is going to be very tough to do that.
Because of the deflation of running backs that are 300 carry backs.
Well, with the guests saying sayonara tonight, the show gets a little deflated, but we still are going to answer your emails and tweets and more. When we take our final break, we'll come back after this. This is Eric Balkman, Dave Gerzak, the HSFF Hour, right here on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Eric Balkman, Dave Gerzak, the Dizzle, coming at you. The HSFF Hour this weekend. If you are listening live at blogtalkradio.com/HSFF, or if you are listening to the stream on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network right on Saturday afternoon, hey, getting ready for the Bucs game. I know you all are. It'll start basically, it's probably started by the time you're listening to us on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network.
Just the playoffs, man.
Yeah, playoffs. And
for a second, are they just starting?
They start tomorrow.
So tomorrow, April 15th.
Yes.
And when do they end again?
I don't know, like
mid-June.
April 15th of next year.
It's so stupid. Dumbest sport ever.
All right. First of all, I don't believe that you believe that.
There's some dumber ones out there.
Highlight, give me a break. Which, by the way, my son's sports class. By the way, you're listening to HSFF Hour here. Eric Balkman, Dave Gerzak.
It's 57 degrees.
My son's sports class his last
sports class.
Yeah,
Lucas.
Yeah, it's
age
3.
All right.
It's like he's in his 3rd session of it, but it's like 8 weeks long, and they do a different sport every week.
Yeah.
And usually the first class of the session and the last class are just kind of like not screw off days, but you do a variety of different things.
Yeah.
And they had highlight stuff out for the last class on whatever it was a couple of weeks ago. So I'm like, I got the Miami Vice theme playing in my head where I'm like whipping the balls and everything, and so that was kind of cool. Anyway.
I have actually 2 stories with the word sports in them.
All right.
Hear them quickly?
Sure. Are they fast?
Kind of, not really. All right.
Just go ahead.
All right. My daughter Ella actually told our PE teacher, or her PE teacher, that she was wondering if they could get on with it with volleyball. They keep on doing all these drills. She's like,
she just wants to play.
She's like, well, we've kind of learned this in the past couple of years, and can we just play the games? And he got all pissed off.
Yeah.
And he yelled at her.
Yeah.
So that's that story.
Yeah.
The other one is in college. My buddy Joe Racconer, he had a
rack attack.
He had a porn videotape, and the name of the videotape was called Joe Sports. So some of the guys in the dorms, if they came around, they'd be like, "Hey, where's Joe Sports?" And there was this VHS SLP videotape, 6 hours long. I never watched it. I mean, these guys have borrowed Joe Sports. It's like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, then like you peel back the Joe Sports stuff. It's like German Scheiser tape. What is that?
Yeah, so there you go. Those are my 2 sports stories.
All right, and on that note, let's move on.
If you've got a question for Eric, Dave, or tonight's guest, send them a tweet at HSFF Hour on Twitter. Email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Post it in the chat room during the broadcast. Hashtag your tweet with HSFF, or just smack Eric in the head. That's highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com or at HSFF Hour on Twitter.
First email tonight, Eddie in Corpus Christi, Texas. Was Chris Ballard talking about wanting to see what Robert Turbin could do on 1st and 2nd down, a harbinger of things to come? Or was this a smokescreen for them selecting a back in the 1st round? Thank you for the email, Eddie. Did you see this, what Chris Ballard said?
I heard it.
New GM taking over for...
he's not very good at the double talk.
The guy who got fired. Why can I not think of the guy who got fired?
Because he sucks. Who cares?
He was bad. I can't believe I'm blanking on it. Anyway, so you think...
The Philip Dorsett drafter.
Yeah, you think that this is... Ryan Grigson just came to me.
Yeah.
You think that this was just masking that they're going to be taking a running back?
Turbin sucks. Everyone knows he sucks. The whole NFL knows he sucks. They know this guy's lying. Your buddy Cecil Lammy was saying how 95% of these are all lies in this time of year.
Yeah.
So that's one of the lies.
Yeah.
95%. Yeah, they're taking a running back. This is actually such a bad lie. It's like if you get home and you whether you cheated on your girlfriend or you went out and you got drunk or something like that, and you just keep talking and it's like, you're gonna lie. Tell a short little lie.
Oh yeah,
don't make this long belabored.
I don't know if he made it a long lie.
He shouldn't even have brought it up. He shouldn't have said anything.
Okay.
This means for sure they're taking a running back.
If you're Chris Ballard and you have the opportunity, this is a stupid question. Forget it. Because I know the answer. If you're Chris Ballard and you have the opportunity to take either Dalvin Cook or Christian McCaffrey, you're going to take McCaffrey, right?
Well, I mean, you're going to wait for the draft, but I would.
I'm saying, like, if they have the opportunity, they're on the clock, both guys are available.
Right, okay. Yeah,
you would take McCaffrey.
Yeah, McCaffrey.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking.
That's fine. It's Friday night. Dear Dizzle and Bizzle, with such a good crop of runners this year, do you see a potential David Johnson coming off the board on day 3? Thanks, guys. That's Alan in Hillsboro, Missouri. Yes, Schneider, a.k.a. the plumber hamster, a.k.a. David Johnson, was a 4th-round pick out of Northern Iowa.
Schneider.
Yeah, remember Schneider?
Is that you?
No, so one of the listeners sent that in.
That's pretty funny.
Said that his name should be Schneider, or his nickname should be Schneider. He was a 4th-round pick out of Northern Iowa a couple years ago. Look where he is now. Look at me now, Mom. He's getting paper. So you look at this year. Is there any day 3 guys, Dave, that you have your eye on as a guy who maybe all he needs is opportunity to step in and really crush it?
I'd like to say yes, but I don't think so.
You know, a guy that I was, we've talked about Kareem Hunt.
I like, but not that much.
Kareem Hunt on this show, like nobody really, the nebulous weight of Kareem Hunt has been a topic on the show. Does he weigh 230 or 170? We don't know. The latest I've seen was that he is 210. So take that for what it's worth. He's a guy that I'm starting to like a little bit more, but it seems like all the NFL teams seem to like him. He's a guy I keep my eye on day 3. Brian Hill out of Wyoming is a guy that I think is interesting. I think a lot of people think that he can only be a 1st and 2nd down guy. I think he might have the chops to catch passes in the NFL as well, so he would be a guy that I would look at as well.
But, I mean, there's people that are ranked that we are looking at higher that might actually get drafted in the 3rd round.
I don't follow.
Like Foreman. He might go.
Right.
He might go in the 3rd round.
Well, we're talking about day 3 picks, rounds 4 to 7.
All right.
So I would throw Foreman out.
But David Johnson wasn't drafted in the 4th round.
Yeah,
he was drafted in the 3rd round.
I was sure he was picked in the 4th round.
I could be wrong as well, but I thought he was a 3rd round pick.
All right. Well, look it up. God knows Rob isn't. Play that right now.
Hey, Rob, what's up? Wake up.
Do you have it up there?
Wikipedia. 3rd round.
That's Wikipedia. Can't trust that.
Pick 86 overall.
Okay.
So late
3rd round. Okay. All right. So Foreman for you.
Yeah.
Is the guy you would look at.
Foreman, if he's going in that type of range. But, to me, I'll say this again. The 3rd and 4th round, there is a break point between the 3rd round and the 4th round. I mean, just historically, when you use stats and you say the performance of 3rd round picks versus 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th,
right.
Especially even 4th.
Yeah.
It's vast. It's a big difference.
It is vast. Marlon Mack from Mint, Montana in the chat room is his pick. That's another guy I like.
Right,
I think, but by the way,
a cool name.
if I'm correct, I think Mint actually drafted Marlon Mack in an FFPC Dynasty startup. So that might be why he's
Marlon Mack
on the show.
No matter what.
Yes. Marlon Mack. No matter what. Hey, Bulky and Dave, I love your show and just started playing a 250 FFPC Dino with you this year. Curious as to how you rank rookie draft picks with startup picks for the purposes of trading. That is Tyler in Wellfleet, Massachusetts. Thank you, Tyler. So we get this question, it seems like at least once a year when people want to, do the Cavalier King Charles strategy of maybe trading to try to acquire as many first-round rookie picks as you can. How do you equate, well, I don't want to get into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, but how would you equate first-round 2018 first-rounders as it goes to 2017 startup drafts right now? What are they worth?
The way this is just my personal take, and I guess I could be wrong, and I'd like to hear it if I am. I would say that a random 2018 first is worth around a mid-7th.
Mid-7th, okay, interesting.
Somewhere in so if you think the pick is around a 106, you're not really sure.
Right.
Somewhere in the 7th round, you could go to 6th, you could go 8th. If you think it's a good team, you go a little bit later. But I've seen people sell them for a lot differently than that.
Yes. Dynasty League I think it was Dynasty League Football had or maybe it's RotoViz. God, I got to start attributing this better on the show. But they had a great
who cares?
ADP of where these rookies this year are going in drafts. And I think the highest was Fournette was going at like the 212 or something in like a rookie startup.
That's actually I'm a little shocked he's going that late.
Okay. Oh, that late.
That late.
Okay, interesting.
I think that once it's so funny because once a draft happens, he'll go at like the 202.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we've already seen Dalvin Cook go on the 111 of FFPC satellites.
Well, especially really.
Yes.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, once he goes to a team and they have, especially if it's like a top 5 pick, whether someone trades up or it's the Jaguars or whomever, all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, he actually went that high.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Gurley. Gurley went like crazy high in startups. And so
right now the birds are in the bush.
Yeah.
And they will be in the hand in 2 weeks. So, but then the other thing I was going to say was if you went down to like, the 12th rookie player, then you're looking at, a guy who is being drafted in startups in like the 8th or 9th round or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, it is, as to borrow your words, Knight, it is vast.
That's what makes
it's a vast span.
The Cavalier King Charles strategy of what you do is you effectively tank in year one,
right?
Not on purpose, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you trade away like all these picks and you get all these future first-round picks. But the key is, he said this once, and he doesn't listen to the show. The key is to make sure you have the number 1 pick for the following season, or if you really want the number 1 pick if you can get it.
Yeah.
And that should be your pick if your team is doing so poorly. But if you have like 5 or 6 first, but the point is, if you have the number 1 pick, now you've drafted a super young team because you didn't really care about winning in year one.
Right.
And now you have the Leonard Fournette, you have the Ezekiel Elliott, you have the player that's going in the in the late first to the early second that has such a super high valuation on top of all the other young talent you have.
Yeah. Jim in Modesto, California. I haven't heard you all discuss Wayne Gallman at all. Would he be a guy you'd consider in the second round of rookie drafts? Thanks for the email, Jim. It's kind of poorly written. No offense. Wayne Gallman, the running back. The running back from Clemson, the national championship winning running back, 6'1", 210. I watched a lot of him over the last couple of years when he played against Florida State. Again, one of the more elite talents.
What does he weigh?
6'1", 210. Is that not accurate? 6'1", 194.
190.
All right. So again, the nebulous weight of these running backs. Who knows? But he was a guy, Dave, when he went up against the elite Florida State defense, which
215 on NFL.com.
Okay, there you go.
Let's go with that. 215.
Okay, so he struck me as a guy. There was one of these annoying guys that really didn't break any big plays, but he got the yardage that they needed on third down. He made the key catch on third down. He was able to make the key blitz pickup. So I mean, he's a good football player, just never wowed me. So in the late second, I mean, if he gets the opportunity, okay, maybe. But he's not a guy I'm super excited about. Now, bear in mind, I said almost the exact same things about Devontae Freeman when he was coming into the NFL as well.
But Freeman's a little bit of an outlier because, I mean, he went in the 4th, and he really his physical talent is not all that fantastic. That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
And so he didn't run a fast 40. He didn't have great, 3-cone drill or anything like that. He wasn't a big guy. But he's been effective. He's an effective football player. He's a decent player.
Yeah,
I'll admit that. But he's kind of one of those blind spots where you just have guys who sometimes perform. But then most of the time, people always point out the exceptions. They don't want to point out the rule. Most of the time, these guys end up sucking.
Right.
And
where did Freeman go in rookie drafts? Is he like a mid-second rounder? Does that sound accurate?
I think he went a little bit earlier.
Okay, early second round. All right. Anyway,
he was 4.6 40.
Yep.
A 29.5-inch. Vertical, which is terrible.
Woof.
10-foot broad jump, which is like not good at all, and like a 4.28 20 yard shuttle, and the 3-cone drill is a 7.17. I mean, nothing about his performance is impressive, and he's 215. Now, if he had a 4.6 and he was 235, 240, that's different.
Yeah.
He
doesn't bring anything elite to the table.
Nothing at all.
Which is why he would be going in the late second. So again, he might be a rookie draft. He might be one of these guys where if he gets the opportunity, he could Jordan Howard it up. I'm just not holding my breath.
I'm taking one of those other tight ends in the late second instead of this guy.
Ingram, Hodges, Everett, those type of guys.
One of those guys will be there.
Okay. Final email tonight.
The guy from Ashland, 6'6".
Oh, Adam Shaheen?
Shaheen.
Yeah. Dear Iron Man and Spider-Man, can the patron saint of fantasy football give me his top 5 pre-draft running back ranks? Respectfully, I don't care about bulkies. TIA, that's Jason in Boise, Idaho. P.S. I'm kind of an a-hole. He didn't write that P.S. I actually added that in. Okay, I won't give my pre-draft rookie ranks for running back. Dave, you can, I know pretty much who your top 3 are, but I don't know who you would add at 4th and 5th. You can talk it out if you want.
Give me 1 second. I just have to
And the other thing is, too, like, don't rack your brain over this because, again, we already talked about this in, like, 13 days or whatever. These ranks could change significantly depending upon where these guys land in the NFL. Running back opportunity is the biggest thing, and so that can radically change the dynasty values of these guys. But pre-draft, how do you have the top 5 guys?
All right, so I have Fournette, McCaffrey, Mixon, Cook, Foreman.
Wow, Foreman number 5. Has he shot up?
No, not really. I don't like Kamara that much.
Yeah, I know you didn't like Kamara. I know you don't like Cook. But I think Foreman is probably going to pass Cook by this time next week for you.
Foreman.
Just Cook. He's not going to
pass Cook. He will not pass Cook.
Okay.
I'm coming around. I've dogged on Cook so much. I actually watched a significant amount for me of his tape, like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And, he does look really good on tape. He
does really look good on tape.
And whether he's a space running back or not, I guess that remains to be seen. But I've Mixon. I actually think Mixon's, like I said before, I think Mixon's character concerns
are less
than Cook's. Because he has more that have not been, thrown through the ringers.
I will say that now Cook wasn't accused of sexual assault or anything like that, whereas Jameis Winston was. And that's all you heard about with Jameis Winston when he was at Florida.
I'm just showing you.
I mean, it's everything you can. But when Dalvin Cook was
Seamus, by the way.
when Dalvin Cook was there at Florida State, you never heard bully about any of these things. That these off the field stuff, this only came up. I mean, you heard about the alleged punching a woman, but that was like a blip that lasted less than a week. You never heard any about the dog things. You never heard any of this other stuff until the pre-draft process. So just take that for. And NFL Network Keith Evans, former fullback in the NFL. You remember him?
Yeah, he was on the Patriots for a while.
Yes. You know who his number 1 ranked prospect in the 2017 NFL draft is? Dalvin Cook.
You know what? That's fine. I believe it.
Totally disagree with that, but I do like Dalvin Cook.
That's fine.
Let him fall to me in Carrington, baby.
What pick do you have?
I always forget. I think it's the 108.
Well, you do have the 108.
Yeah.
I have the 202, which I traded from Meyer.
He ain't getting to the 108. I think I'm going to end up taking one of those tight ends at 108.
Howard will be there.
Yeah, I think so. That doesn't do it for our show. I want to thank Travis Collins, Tino Reyes, Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob, Bryce, and, of course, all of you listeners out there. Appreciate you guys coming on and into the chat room and downloading wherever you are. Make the Planet Hollywood reservations now for your FFPC high-stakes teams and your main event squads. Get in before that main event early bird expires. It's going to be here before you know it. Draft now with satellites and high-stakes dynasty leagues that are starting up starting in a couple of weeks here at myffpc.com. Scott Engel and the Fantasy HOF Hour is up next on Fantasy. Your weekend starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com that was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
Him again, the sound the engine in is like a bird. You see fireworks and Corvette tires skirt the boulevard. I know how you work, I know just who you are. See, use a bitch, your hormones probably switch inside your D.
Oh, I like this. This is better than Kanye.
Well, let's not get crazy here.
All right.
Nothing.
Who is this again?
That was Kendrick Lamar. You can check out his new album, Damn, period. That came out today. They're all
stupid.
All the tracks are all in capital letters with periods after.
Does he have a lot of interludes, like all stupid rap albums?
You know, his first album, which by the way won a lot of Grammys. Just gonna put that out there. His debut had a lot of that. His last album was really weird. I listened to part of this album today. Very good. Check it out.
All right.
Download it on iTunes.